Hello and thank you for joining us. It's time for This Week in the News, a time we recap major stories that we rerun in the week ending. I am Sibongile Ziambo. The headlines. Zodiak Sport Checks establishes minimal compliance to newly gazetted COVID-19 preventive measures in the country. President Chakwera launches new vision, Malawi 2063, with a call to the citizenry to join hands to make it a reality. Education think tank call on President Chakwera to stop UNIMA Council on plans to suspend delinking of University of Malawi. And ADMAC finally opens commodity markets, but will ration maize sales to 30 kilograms per person. Those are the headlines, now the news in detail. We begin with some fresh news. TNM has become the latest institution to respond to President Chakwera's call for help after the declaration of national state of disaster. The mobile company has on Saturday donated to government through the Society of Medical Doctors assorted COVID-19 supplies worth 100 million kwacha. We spoke to representatives of SMD and TNM.
We expect a huge impact from this donation. Right now the situation is bad, and the coming in of TNM, I think our situation will not be the same. They have bought us some personal protective equipment, some drugs. They are supporting us in terms of communication channels. We believe that these will have a significant role in as far as our battle is concerned, because we can easily communicate. At the same time, we have things that we can use to support those that are suffering. The situation is very bad. There are no questions about it. The hospitals have been overwhelmed. We can't continue with the normal hospital infrastructures. We're expanding. We're sending our patients to Bingu Stadium. In Blantyre, they're sending them to Blantyre Youth Center. Many people are coming into the hospital. But one thing is giving us hope. People are being cured. So the message has to be, even though we're in a bad situation, but if you're sick, go to the hospital. You can be helped and you can be cured.
TNM, we were just responding to the presidential call towards the fight of COVID. We decided to work with the Society of Medical Doctors. They gave us their specific needs. And as a company, we decided to donate equipment and airtime, data, bundles, stuff like that, but everything to a sum up commitment of 100 million kwacha. So this will go towards supporting over 1,000 doctors and health workers. We've bought the equipment. It will be specifically sent to the 4 central hospitals: the Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital, Zomba, Kamo Central Hospital, as well as Nzus. TNM is always involved in corporate social responsibilities, because we know without our customers, we won't be there. And being a Malawian company, it's our mandate to support. And you agree with me that this is not the first time we've come out to support different initiatives. So we thought it wise to do the same with the COVID fight. And because we know our customers have been affected, our families have been affected, our business partners have been affected. So we were obliged to support. So as we are talking, even the medical doctors and the health personnel, they'll be able to enjoy free data, airtime for the next 3 months to make sure they support the patients. We'll also go the way to reach out to our customers. The doctors will be coming, send messages through SMSs to our customer base to make sure people are aware of what's going on in the fight of the COVID pandemic.
Meanwhile, early this week, a Zodiak Sport Check observed minimal compliance to the newly gazetted COVID-19 preventive measures in most parts of the country. Our sport checks in Blantyre, Lilongwe, Mzuzu and Katabe found people roaming around without masks on top of disregarding social distance rule. A health activist, Dorothy Ngoma, has described the situation as unfortunate and scaring, urging government to go beyond just putting laws. Alfred Gura was on this story.
A visit to Blantyre and Limbe Market on Tuesday saw very few people wearing masks and observing physical distance. In Limbe, the situation is worse, though most of the vendors and their customers were spotted trading without masks. In Lilongwe, it's the same story. Our Western Guta reports that very few people are following COVID-19 preventive measures. Up north, the situation is not different. Our Angela Nkandawire says things improved after President Lazarus Chakwera's address. However, a lot more are not wearing masks correctly and consistently. Our Alex Banda in Karabe paints a picture of the situation in the district.
There is minimal compliance to new gazetted guidelines on prevention of COVID-19 here in Karabe.
A health activist, Dorothy Ngoma, says things can improve by inculcating the behavior of wearing masks and observing social distance among the citizenry.
And that is where now we need to analyze that and look at the aspect of, anybody who doesn't have a mask is not going to go past police roadblock, just as they enforce, that we have a driving license. Then this would be more or less like a license. If you don't have a mask, you are not going to move in town.
According to the new gazetted laws, any person found in public without a mask will be fined 10,000 kwacha. For Zodiak in Blantyre, this is Alfred Guta reporting.
And after our discovery, Police Inspector General Dr. George Kainja vowed that police will use necessary force to ensure that people adhere to the COVID-19 preventive measures. Kainja spoke during one of the daily COVID-19 updates by the Presidential Task Force. Anafem Lamba wrote us this report.
During the briefing, Inspector General of Police Dr. George Kainja said the Malawi Police Service will enforce the newly gazetted COVID-19 preventive guidelines. Dr. Kainja argued that the citizenry has been sensitized enough on the need to enforce the preventive measures. As such, those found defying will be arrested. The IG also emphasized on seating capacity in public transports, adding those caught defying will be arrested. So far, 15 minibus operators in Lilongwe have been arrested and fined 75,000 kwacha for not complying with the law. Dr. Kainja assured the citizenry that previous instances of returnees fleeing isolation centers will not happen again, adding that prison warders have been authorized to equally give security in isolation centers. 38 returnees in the Mapanga saga are currently on remand pending prosecution. Minister of Health Kumbise Kandodo Chiponda said government is working tirelessly to ensure that there is adequate oxygen supply in hospitals across the country, giving an instance of the fixed oxygen plant at Kamuzu Central Hospital. As of 20th January, the country had recorded 992 new cases, 76 recoveries, and 17 new deaths.
On Tuesday, President Lazarus Chakwera launched the new development blueprint for the country, Malawi 2063, with a call for Malawians to repaint from the scene of wastefulness. The president, launching the vision, virtually observed that the past development blueprints failed to materialize because of this spirit, as it generates into corruption and other ills that derail development.
When we galvanize ourselves around a common vision of what our country should look like by the time Malawi turns 100, we must remember that our greatest asset in fulfilling this grand vision is our attributes as Malawians. We must remember that this is not just a vision for Malawi, but the vision of Malawians to be fulfilled by Malawians. In practice, this means that if we do not increase the socioeconomic capacity of Malawians over the next decade, we are not going to reach the 2063 shores we are setting our sails for here. When we say that we want Malawi to be a wealthy and self-reliant nation, or that the pillars of our Vision 2063 are agricultural commercialization, smart urbanization, and sustainable industrialization, we must not imagine that these will come from the labors of another nation. The bottom line is that if we ourselves do not work hard, work smart, and work together, we will not succeed. I believe that our key to the creation of a great nation is the creation of a great citizenry to build such a nation.
And speaking earlier at the virtual launch, Vice President Dr. Salos Chirima, who's also Minister of Economic Planning, said political transition have in the past also contributed to the flop of national development plans. The University of Malawi Council has come under heavy criticism for suspending the process of delinking its constituent colleges. Legal experts argue the decision is retrogressive and that the council has no legal authority to reserve a decision made by Parliament. On Friday, the Civil Society Education Coalition addressed the media in Lilongwe, calling on President Lazarus Chakwera to stop the council's decision. Madatopidi reports.
In a statement released on Thursday, the University of Malawi Council said the process has been set aside pending a functional review to determine the way forward. But Executive Director for the Civil Society Education Coalition, CSEC, Benedicto Kondowe, maintains that the Council has no power to stop the process of delinking as it was passed in Parliament and assented to by former President Peter Mutharika. He added that the said functional review will not yield any result as all due processes were already followed.
All different stakeholders unanimously agreed that University of Malawi should be unbundled. We believe, as education stakeholders, that the recent decision of 20th January by the University Council to suspend the rollout of the unbundling process is completely uncalled for, retrogressive, counterproductive, and irresponsible altogether.
And country representative for educans in Malawi, Dr. Limbani Sapato, said President Chakwera should come out in the open on the issue as he had supported the delinking in his State of the Nation address last year.
We would like to appeal to the Council to rescind this decision within the next 7 days, or at least the President or Minister should intervene on this, because I know that there is no chair of the board or council who can reverse a decision of Parliament or of the President without consulting. If they did not consult, then I think in the President should come in.
Presidential Press Secretary Brand Banda asked for more time before responding to the issue. For Zodiak, this is Madalito Piri reporting.
You're watching This Week in the News on Zodiac. We'll be back with more news after this.
Precious things have a secret formula. While John is busy trying to impress, James discovered Tangu's secret. Tangu uses Purity sanitary products from Purity body wash, Purity hands wash, Purity body lotion to Purity dishwash. After a week of using Purity sanitary products, James won the heart of Tangu. Use Purity sanitary products.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Welcome back. Before we continue with the news, let's take another look at the top stories. Zodiac Sport Checks establishes minimal compliance to newly gazetted COVID-19 preventive measures in the country. President Chakwera launches New Vision Malawi 2063 with a call to the citizenry to join hands to make it a reality. Education think tank call on President Chakwera to stop UNIMA Council on plans to suspend the linking of University of Malawi. And ADMAC finally opens commodity markets but will ration sales to 30 kilograms per person. This week, ADMAC finally announced opening of its commodity markets across the country, largely to sell maize this lean period. ADMAC spokesperson Agnes Chikoko says they will ration the maize sales to 30 kilograms per person at 160 kwacha per kilogram. A recently released Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee (MVAC) report projected that at least 2.6 million Malawians will be food insecure in the 2020-2021 consumption year. Uson Henry filed this report.
ADMAC opened its depots Tuesday this week to the contentment of produce suppliers and buyers who have been waiting since November last year. Random sampling by Zodiak in some ADMAC depots in Mchinji, for example, revealed strict adherence to COVID-19 guidelines by both officials and consumers accessing the markets, such as mandatory wearing of face masks and physical distancing. One of the buyers, Martha Kankono, told Zodiac they are happy with the development, which will enable them buy the staple grain at a fair price. ADMAC spokesperson Agnes Chikoko told us that only a maximum of 50 people are being permitted to gather in selling points where maize is being sold at 160 kwacha per kilogram and maximum quantity per person is 30 kilograms. She disclosed that they have also formed market committees at a community level to oversee if all procedures put in place are being followed. Apart from produce, ADMAC is also selling subsidized input fertilizer.
Maximum quantity per person at a time to 30 kilograms, because as you are aware, this is target the underprivileged, not the business people. So probably to discourage the businessmen, we are saying every person that is buying maize should buy kilograms at a time. But apart from that, we're also working with the local leadership in terms of forming market committees that should oversee all the procedures that have been put are being followed, including those of COVID-19.
Chikoko says most parts of the central region have already been supplied with the subsidized fertilizer and shortly will be trickling down to the southern and northern regions. In October last year, the Ministry of Finance authorized ADMAC to borrow 22 billion kwacha from commercial banks to buy farm produce from farmers.
Let's wrap up the program with news on the sporadic Lilongwe protests by minibus drivers. The minibus operators have been protesting against COVID-19 restrictions on public transport. They argue that the authorities are not enforcing the rule of 2 passengers per seat to operators in other locations. Western Kuta went to see this for us.
Minibus drivers on Area 4925 Kanengo Road are today demonstrating against a 60% seating capacity on public transport. They have been forcing the public transport operators to park their vehicles. They allege that operators in other locations are allowed to carry 3 or 4 passengers per seat, which they find unfair. The minibus drivers say that the rising cost of fuel recently, coupled with the COVID-19 restriction, is crippling their business and call on government to revise the regulation.
Imagine passengers paying 300 kwacha while fuel prices remain high. How much profit will it make? There is a lot, including license renewal. All that depends on the seating capacity.
One of the stranded commuters, Neri Kamanga, has complained that he cannot manage to get to work because of the development and has since called on government to immediately intervene.
We are going to work in town, but we cannot commute because minibus drivers are demonstrating and blocking vehicles from carrying passengers. We are walking though, hoping that somebody will pick us up, but everybody is afraid to do so.
Recently, government announced new COVID-19 restrictions, among which is the 60% capacity on public transport. For Zodiac in Lilongwe, I am Western Guta.
That's about what we had time for in this edition of This Week in the News. And before we go, a recap of the top stories. Zodiac Sport Check establishes minimal compliance to newly gazetted COVID-19 preventive measures in the country. President Chakwera launches new vision Malawi 2063 with a call to the citizenry to join hands to make it a reality. Education think tank calls on President Chakwera to stop Unima Council on plans to suspend delinking of University of Malawi. And ADMAC finally opens commodity markets but will ration maize to 30 kilograms per person. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more on these and other stories. This is Sibongile Yambo. Remember to wash hands regularly with soap to contain the spread of COVID-19. Bye for now.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
Awesome!